Good morning, Henry. Nice to see you again.
Thank you.
I know we know each other, but I wonder, for the sake of other people that are listening to this, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself
Yeah,
and if you've no objection telling us your age.
yeah. My name's Henry Rankin, and I am a young 62.
Henry, now I know that you have a diagnosis of dementia. Have you been made aware of the particular form of dementia? We know there's lots of different types of it.
Yes, I was informed that I had vascular dementia.
Right, so you've got a specific diagnosis.
Yes.
Are you able to tell us a little bit about the sort of things that first concerned you, that made you aware that something was happening, that was a reason to go and seek some advice, some medical advice?
Yeah, I'm going back to around about 2005. I started having memory problems. My wife would say, I'll meet you in the town at such and such a time, and I never turned up.
Right.
And I told my wife, no, you never said it to me. But my children said, yes, Mum did say it to you, to meet at such a, but it was getting worse. Trying to find places that I'd been to over the years, I couldn't remember how to get there.
That sounds very frightening, particularly if other people are pointing out to you, this.
Yes, I found it difficult because I used to work in the police. Your memory was the biggest part of trying to deal with people and trying to record it. I felt that was missing, plus the fact I stopped reading. What I found was that instead of reading a chapter, I would get down to half a page,
Right.
then lose interest. So I had to put the book down, and it could be 2 days or 3 days later that I would go and I would have to read it again because I couldn't remember what I actually read.
What did you do eventually about these concerns?
Well, I'd actually went to the doctor for 3 years complaining about my memory problems. I said, something's happened that I can't recall a lot of things, times, places, dates, and he said I was too young to have anything wrong with me.
Really?
Yeah. What actually happened was that I was so fed up. I asked my wife to come along with me. She's a nurse.
Right.
I said, maybe you'll listen to my wife. And believe it or not, that's when I was sent to a memory clinic.
Right. Is that where the diagnosis was actually made?
Yes. I had never heard of a memory clinic. I didn't know what it entailed, what I was supposed to do. So I was a bit apprehensive about it. But I actually did get a shock when I was put in front of a psychiatrist. Asked me a lot of questions, drawings. In fact, I was in there for about an hour and 10 minutes. And I said, I'm not answering any more of your questions. I said, I feel as if you're dictating to me what I should be doing. I just felt uncomfortable. And of course, when she had finished, she told me that I had vascular dementia. There is no cure. Come back and see me in 6 months' time. What I did was, my wife and my daughter were sitting in the waiting room. I walked past them, and I walked out the middle of the road. I just broke down, and my wife came to me and says, "What's up?" I said, I've been told I've only got 6 months to live. That was if they actually had asked my wife and my daughter to come in, I think my wife would have calmed me down and explained it a wee bit better and what the psychiatrist done.
Maybe ask some more questions even.
Yeah, but after that, believe it, a week after that, the psychiatrist apologised. I got a letter from the psychiatrist saying that I should have invited your daughter and your wife in and told you then. But to me, the damage was done then, because I didn't fully understand what vascular dementia was. We went into the internet, and what we found there was, it shocked me, literature on vascular dementia, talking about any dementia, saying it was terminal. And that's when I got a bigger fright, because it said the word terminal.
And how would you say, Henry, that your life is affected on a kind of day-to-day basis by having dementia?
Day to day, I've got to plan in advance. I've got to look at my whiteboard, which I've got. I've got to check with my wife what I'm doing, what time I've got to get up, and where I have to go. And 9 times out of 10, Anne will drive me there, or she'll make sure I get on the bus, and I just ask to get dropped off, whatever stop I need to be dropped off.
And are there other areas of your life that you feel you can share with us in terms of how your dementia actually affects you?
It's like being in a balloon or a bubble. You've got to adapt to do things, which I find I'm doing now. Now I'm actually living well with dementia. I think the first year was traumatic for me. I didn't want to go out. I remember walking down the road to go to the newsagent with my wife, and a person stopped my wife, whom she knew, and she said, "And how is Henry today?" And my wife says, "Well, why don't you ask him?" What I done was I didn't go to the shops. I about turned and just went back to the house. I never come out the house for a week because I was frightened. I couldn't remember people's names, and I felt I feel safer in the house than I did outside. But I was fortunate. I got in touch with 2 people from Alzheimer Scotland who put me at ease, and they were doing a project called Facing Dementia Together, and that actually opened a big door for me. They said, "I've got plenty of time, I'll be here a while yet," and they asked me things that you would like to do, and I made a list. I made 10. I've actually done 9.
Have you really?
I've only got 1 to actually do, and I've got that arranged. So I'm living life pretty well just now. But you adapt to things. You know there's something just not right. But I try and lead a normal life. If I'm going down to the bowling club, I go down with people, but I also come back with the same people. They take me back up the road just in case I get lost.
We're allowed to ask what that one thing you still have to do is?
Yes, the one thing, you're not going to believe this. I'm a great cowboy fan. Yeah, and it's a horse, ride a horse.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I've always said that I would do it, and I've actually had it before, but kind of step back, saying no, I'm not going to do it. But no, I've got that, and I'm looking forward to actually doing it.
Fantastic. You've obviously got a really important role because you're the chairperson of the Scottish Dementia Working Group. How did you first get in touch with the group?
That was through, she said that I've got a group of people that I know about, and I think you would do very well at the Scottish Dementia Working Group. And I went the first time and I didn't like it at all. I said to my wife that I'm not going back. I says, there's only 2 people that speak here. She says, oh yes, you are going back. So I went the second time, and I actually kind of put my hand up to ask a question. And once I'd done that, then I started to enjoy it because I felt I had a voice. And when the opportunity, it was 2 years later, the opportunity came up to be the chair, I took it on willingly because the environment you're in with other people who've got dementia, we laugh, we joke, we do the business that we've got to do, but personally I feel more than comfortable sitting with people who have got the same form of dementia or any type of dementia as myself, so it's enjoyable. I learn a lot more. I'm still learning to do things. I'm learning to use my iPad, I'm learning to do emails, things that I probably wouldn't never have done, but now I've got the opportunity to do it, and that's what I do. Public speaking, sometimes I find that can be quite intimidating, but once you're up, I think it's waiting to go on to say what you have to say, and once you've said it, you feel, I'm saying, why did I worry about that? But I get enjoyment helping other people. It's an illness. I think a lot of people forget it. It is an illness. A lot of people have it. A lot of people don't want other people to know about it, but I think we're more open now about dementia, which is great because you've got media coverage, you've got it in the papers, television, so we're hearing more about it now, and that can only be good for us. I know they do a lot of research. If I'm being honest, I think it might come a wee bit late for me, but I'm thinking the people that come behind will have a better understanding than what I had.
You obviously talk like you get a great deal from being part of the working group. Do you feel that they're doing something very important as well in terms of being able to change mindsets about dementia?
Definitely. The group was formed in 2002, and they've moved well forward in what they do and how they deal with it. And at first I was frightened to tell people that I had dementia. There's still, even today, there's still stigma attached to people don't want to speak, or they're frightened to speak to you, or they treat you not like an equal. And that's the thing, the message I want to say. We are ordinary people, we have an illness, but we try and live life as best as we can.
Do you think if the general public had that better understanding, Henry, would it make a big difference to your life and other people's?
Totally. What I'm finding out now is getting a better understanding, but I think most importantly for us, is your community. I feel if your community knows about dementia, that's a starting point. You've also got like say schools. You've also got businesses. Now they're looking differently on a person having dementia, working in an environment they're getting more help. They're taking things on now which they never done before. And in fact, one of my friends worked on a Rolls Royce, and he was a machinist, and he found out he had vascular dementia, and he thought he would lose his job. But what the company done was they had another job for him, and so he had another job, but he just felt that he was taking money for not doing his job, and he stopped. But there's the young voice of a person with dementia, and he says the same as me. He says there's a whole new world out there for people. It's not the death sentence now. You can live well with dementia, and both of us do that.
And it sounds like things must be moving on. If his employers were so much more understanding than I reckon people would have been a few years ago.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I worked in Strathclyde Police. I wouldn't have had a job. They would have told me at that time, sorry, we can't employ you. In fact, I was fortunate in a way because I've got diabetes, and I thought I was going to lose my job through that, but they put me into a day shift job, which was great. So they'd done well with me for that, but dementia was just I think it would be a different thing altogether.
I guess that's a good example of how we might make Scotland a more dementia-friendly place if employers were and the general public were more understanding. Is there anything else, Henry, you think you'd like to say about how Scotland could move forward in being more dementia-friendly?
I think we started way back in 2002 when it was first started, the Scottish Dementia Working Group. I think there's a lot of practical things you can do. It's going to take time. It's like saying Rome wasn't built in a day, and I think throughout Scotland you can see a big difference. We've got groups in the Highland, Inverness, Aberdeen, Dundee. You've got it Dumfries, East Dumbarton. You've got a lot of places where there are people who have some form of dementia, but we're trying to make sure everybody gets that 1 year post diagnosis, and I think that's a big help. They didn't have that when I joined the Scottish Dementia Working Group, but it's always good to have a link worker to start with, and it all depends on how your health goes, what you need, even at the end of life. I'm not, believe it or not, I'm not worrying about dying. I've done very well, and I think if you worry about it, you won't do anything. I don't worry about it. I've got my family. They keep me going. They don't let me off within, and they encourage me to actually do a lot of things. So I'm positive in that way. My two daughters, my wife and my son. So they keep my feet in the ground.
Well done. That's really helpful. Thank you very much indeed.